Okay, so here we are again, back in the old living room, with some more what to watch and things coming up. Also, at the end of this, I'm going to give you 5 films that you may not have seen that you should definitely watch. And we'll be doing this every time. Hopefully, we do one of these. So, moving swiftly on, our first block of things is going to come from Amazon Prime. Now, our first pick from Amazon Prime is this film here. It is an Amazon original. It's called Dating Amber, and it basically follows 2 teens who are both gay. One's female, one's male, and living in Ireland, and the sort of difficulties that they face and their sort of coming to age story. It's really good. It's really well written. Again, really well acted. Definitely worth a watch. Fantastic bit of TV there for you, well, film. So that's our first pick of the day. So our second pick comes from the wonderful Emma Thompson, who, let's face it, national institution. This is basically called Late Night. It is a film basically around Emma Thompson's character, who is a late night talk show in America, and should we say things aren't going well for her, although she's completely oblivious to this. And it's kind of how her life unfolds, and then she puts it back together again by remembering basically who she is in a way. Again, it's a really good film. It's Emma Thompson anyway, so obviously, you know, who doesn't love Emma Thompson? I don't think my mother does actually, but that's, well, who knows. But anyway, it's a great film, definitely worth a watch. So that's our second Amazon pick. The third one I've already mentioned in a previous video, which is the Alex Rider. Again, it's an Amazon original. It's based on the books, which, one second, I have down here. A whole host of them. Again, if you've got the books or you've not read the books, I would definitely recommend reading the books as well. But the TV series is brilliant. The acting, the casting, the story, everything is really good. And it stays very close to the book. I think because the first book was a film, which again we spoke about, they sort of incorporated tiny bits of that into this film, because I don't think they were allowed the rights for the TV series to the first book, because they're owned by somebody else. But it does really such a good job. I've watched it 2 or 3 times now. Probably going to watch it again soon. Definitely worth a watch. Yes. So there are our 3 picks for Amazon. So we're going to move swiftly on. Now, I don't normally do Sky, but we are going to do Sky this time as well. First and foremost, one of Sky's the biggest things that they have is sports. Now, okay, much of the football season is now over because this video is a little bit late. But we've still got the F1 season and plenty of other sports going on. So obviously you've got your sports back. I know Amazon and obviously some of the other shows, and Amazon and some of the other services like BT and that have sports as well. But we're not talking about this right now. We're talking about Sky. So yeah, there we go. Sports is back on Sky. Given the current state of affairs around the world, how long that will stay, God only knows, but there we go. So that's our first thing for Sky. So our second pick for Sky is Condor. I think the first season is still available, although at the moment it looks like it's only starting from episode 5. I'm not sure why that is. But as far as I'm aware, both seasons are on there. But season 2 of this has just come out. It's really good. I really enjoyed the first season. I've just started watching the second season. It's definitely worth a watch. If you watch the first season, obviously get into the second season now. It is available. If you haven't, if you can find the full first season, I would recommend obviously watching that first. But it's interesting because it's got really good work balance. It's got good family and sort of emotional, how to put it, just like, you know, very good homey like individual storyline in it as well, especially for the main character. So definitely worth a watch. There's our second pick. So our third pick for Sky is going to be this, Condor. Now, season 1 was really, really good. I haven't actually watched season 2 yet, but it is out now. But season 1 is also available if you haven't watched that yet. Definitely go and watch the first one if you haven't. Second one's out now, so if you've seen the first one, obviously the second one is out now for you. This was a really good sort of thriller. I really enjoyed it. difficult to talk about without giving too much away. But basically, our main character, which is the guy over here, something happens to a team that he's based in. He ends up going on the run and has to obviously figure out what on earth is going off. Second season, don't know what the storyline is yet. Like I say, I haven't actually started watching it yet, but I'm sure it will be as good as the first season. So that is definitely worth a watch. Now, the third thing that's on Sky is this. It's Perry Mason. Now, this is a remake of an old TV series. I'm not sure if they were originally based on books. A lot of these things are. So I'm not going to... Don't quote me on this. Now, funny enough, as lockdown started, I started watching the old Perry Masons, which many are black and white, but they go through from black and white all the way through to colour, where they did sort of TV movies. Now, Perry Mason, in all of that time, was played by a guy called Raymond Burr, who did a very good job. Now, it's funny because while I was watching it, I was thinking, wouldn't it be good if someone did a new version of this? And they have. Now, it's done by HBO, who generally are renowned for doing things a bit more edgy, a bit more shock. But...
Sharkers are a group of ilismobranch fish characterised by a cartilaginous skeleton, 5 to 7 gill slits.
Okay, Google, shut up!
And pectoral fins that are not fused to the head.
Okay, Google.
Modern sharks are classified within the clade Selachimorpha and are the sister group to the rays.
Right. So now Google's finished talking. And then I saw they'd done this sort of new version. Now this is set slightly older than the original TV series is, which is fine. I can deal with that. I just don't like it. And the thing is, it's a bit confusing because the acting in it is good. It has some good names in it as well. Some names that you will know. But the storyline for me is just poor, really poor. There's too much emphasis on other things. It's basically one case that's being dragged out through all of the episodes, and it's just dragging on too long. There are things in it that you're watching and you're thinking, why is this even in it? Why it's just tiresome to watch, and it's just really poor, which is a shame because it could be so really, really good. And part of the problem is your main character starts off being sort of very rough and ready. Now, Perry Mason is supposed to be this sophisticated, well-spoken, sharp lawyer. And now this is before he sort of got to that stage, which I can understand you trying to make a story out of that. But I just think they've done it in completely the wrong way. The character in the very first few episodes is so the opposite that you can even if he can portray that character well, and as it's gone through the season, I mean, I'm up to sort of episode 4 or 5. He's sort of slightly better and a bit, but it's just been too far that way for it to ever be believable being the other way. And it for me, it just does not work at all, which is a shame because it had a lot of potential. I mean, just...
Oh, that is some shoe.
This is the sort of thing you're dealing with. This is what they're like.
There you go.
You've got this... I don't know.
Anything you're good at. Wear your good suit.
This is my good suit.
Perry Mason, Raymond Burr.
Without knowing it. But you knew it, didn't you? You were going to see Thompson because the two of you had a date.
Yes, I know, okay, that's a black and white one, and the way that this is set up wouldn't really be as effective today. It did need modernisation, but what they've done to it, just for me anyway, personally, nah, doesn't work. So that would be a don't watch. So, but obviously you may have different thoughts. So our first pick from Disney is this, Artemis Fowl. Now, critics have said they didn't really like this. I thought it was fun and it's good, and I hope they're going to make some more because it is based on a series of stories. This is obviously the first one. I think the storyline's okay. It could have perhaps been a little bit better. But overall, as something entertaining, it's not too bad. The casting is okay, the acting is okay. Like I say, the story's fine. So yeah, all in all, we're giving this one a thumbs up. So, second on the list is this. Now, this is Disney's A&T farm or Ant Farm. Now, I normally like Disney stuff. I felt this was missing something. I don't know why. It is watchable, but I think you get more out of something like The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody or Austin and Ally or something like that. So, yeah. This one, you know, I suppose, I mean, these, let's face it, these are really for kids. And as much as a kid as I am, I guess I am not their target demographic. So, it's okay. I'm sure plenty of kids will get a kick out of it. For me, I think there's better stuff on Disney. Now, this, I've just watched the full first season of this. I've just started watching the second. This is something called The Lodge. There are only 2 seasons. There wasn't renewed after that. Don't know why. I've actually found this quite good. You know, it's your typical sort of cheesy Disney sort of kids, teenage sort of show that they do. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think it's worth a watch. So yeah, that is our last one from Disney. So now, oh no, there isn't. That's not our last one from Disney. I told a lie. There is one other show which I have watched the entire series of. Now, I watched that on the Disney Channel on Sky. Now you would think, let me just get it up for you. Andy Mack. Now I loved this series. I thought it was really, really good. Great, great casting, lovely little storylines and everything in it. But strangely, although it's on Disney, it starts on season 1, episode 11. So you can't watch it from the very beginning, which is a bit weird considering it's their own content. And not all of the seasons and episodes are there, so it's a bit hit and miss. When the whole thing comes on, definitely worth a watch. It is a good little show. As it stands, you can't watch the whole thing. Come on, Disney, sort it out. So our first Netflix pick is After. It's this film. It is your sort of typical coming of age sort of teenage romance story. It is well written though, well acted. It's a nice little show. It's a nice little film. Definitely worth a watch. Give it a whirl. And there's our first Netflix pick. Now our second Netflix pick is this film. It's Shaft. I can't remember if I've mentioned this before. I may have done, but I couldn't remember, so I've thrown it back in. This is the second. The first one was done quite a while ago. And in this one, Shaft finds out he's got a son. There are some great little moments in it. It's a really good film. Definitely worth a watch. If you're a fan of the second one, you'll be a fan of this one. If you weren't a fan of... no, that's wrong, isn't it? If you're a fan of the first one, you will be a fan of this one. If you didn't like the first one, still give this a watch because I think this is a much, much better film. So, definitely worth a watch. Give it a whirl, and there's our second pick. Our third pick is this. It's actually an old film from 1995, and that's The American President. This is what came before The West Wing. So if you're a fan of The West Wing and you haven't watched this, it's worth a watch. It is Michael Douglas, Michael J. Fox, and President Josiah Bartlet, but not as president in this. That job falls to Michael Douglas. So again, this is a really good film. It's basically based on a president running for re-election and how he kind of has lost his way and he comes back to the forefront of it, all wrapped up in a lovely little sort of romantic film. So it's really good. That's The American President. Again, it is an old film, but it's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it, especially if you are a fan of The West Wing. Now our final pick for today, on Netflix again, is this. Now this has been on Nickelodeon, and it's run its full season on here. Only season 1 is available currently on Netflix, and that is Henry Danger. Now this is basically a pure kids television show, but it's one of those things that's so bad and so cheesy, it's brilliant. It's basically about this guy lad who becomes basically a superhero's sidekick, Captain Man, who is indestructible. It's just a good fun. It's just something light-hearted to watch. Again, worth a watch. Definitely give it a whirl. And that's pretty much it. So there we go. Plenty for you to be getting on by. So just before we do finish, let me give you 5 films that you should definitely watch if you haven't. Now, some of these you will probably definitely heard of. Some you may not have done. So, in at number 1, we're going to go with Conspiracy Theory. This is Patrick Stewart, Mel Gibson, and Julia Roberts. It's a great film, good old thriller, definitely worth a watch. In at number 2, it's going to be Denzel Washington and again Julia Roberts, and that's The Pelican Brief. Again, it's another thriller, but it's just so good, also worth a watch. Number 3, we're going to go with A Few Good Men. Now, I'm sure everybody's probably seen this by now, but if you haven't, it's worth it just for the final court scene with Jack Nicholson, because it is one of the best pieces of acting you will ever see. It is brilliant. That's Tom Cruise and Debbie Moore in that as well. In at number 4, I forgot what we were going to go for. In at number 4, we're going to go with Blues Brothers 2000. That's a comedy. It's Dan Aykroyd. It's just, it's brilliant. The original Blues Brothers film is really good. Blues Brothers 2000 is twice as stupid and twice as good, with some of the biggest musical stars of the time in it and some great music. So also definitely worth a watch. And in at number 5, we are going to go with Payback, which is a Mel Gibson film. Again, really good. Perhaps one people may not have known about quite so much, but again, really good film. So that is it for today. We've had your top tips to watch, 5 films that maybe you haven't watched that you should. So thank you for stopping by once again, and I will catch you next time.
Jet plane headed up to the sky, spread wings and the clouds getting